Perfect. Awesome. So we're live now. So we're going to give it a few minutes here for people to start jumping in before we kind of dive into all the content here. Oh, we already got a bunch of people waiting. That's good. In which case we won't have to wait too long. That's awesome. The counter just jumped pretty fast. So that's good. So for those of us joining, appreciate you making the time. This is right before office hours, so hopefully you can join us for that as well. We've been pushing really heavy for integrations because one, it should just occur, right? We see this in regular tech anyways. And I say regular tech kind of as a joke because I think the Amazon software world is slightly different in how it operates. And we're trying to change a lot of that. And so getting deeply integrated with other tools that, I have used personally. I used to use RestockPro when I was a wholesale seller. So this is kind of full circle for me, is an area that we're really excited about, but we really want to get deeper, not just into the technical side, but really, what's the added value here of a partnership? And so for this session, we're really going to dive deep into RestockPro. A lot's changed since I used you guys like a decade ago, I think is how long it's been.
Yeah.
But Lewis, if you could give us a bit of background on yourself, RestockPro, the company, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dylan. So my name's Louis Mazel. I'm the director of product at Ecom Engine. I've been here at Ecom Engine for about 7 years now. I started as the product manager for Feedback 5. So those of you who may not be familiar with RestockPro or Ecom Engine, you may have heard of Feedback 5, which is our feedback and review tool. So Ecom Engine has been around for quite a while, since about 2009, starting off with Feedback 5. But then shortly thereafter, we released RestockPro, which is an FBA inventory management tool. And really, RestockPro excels at that niche of providing FBA inventory management and replenishment solutions. Ecom Engine, we also have a tool called Seller Pulse, which is a product monitoring tool helping you kind of monitor your entire catalog for important events like listing suppression or hijacker, you lose the buy box, that sort of thing. So that's a tool that we've just recently released, and we've been adding a lot of new features with that, starting to also kind of add a lot of analytics features with that. So if any of those solutions seem interesting to you, definitely check out Ecom Engine. But today we're excited to talk about RestockPro, really kind of dig into that, and also talk about the integration that we have with Aura, which we're really excited about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We when we look at the partners we want to work with, it's always the tools and the companies that really have a shared ethos for how we view things, very customer centric, like building products in a way that actually makes sense. Because I've always said there's the kind of two generalized journeys that softwares tend to take, which is like a very big Amazon seller influencer goes into tech with no technical background. That creates its own set of problems. Or the inverse kind of happens. You have a tech person coming in and building software that you can tell was built not factoring in what it's like to be a seller. It's all these subtle nuances that create friction. And I remember looking for a tool in this world when I was running wholesale, because I could not do forecasting. Like, it's just the hardest thing in the world to do. And when I came across RestockPro, I was like, oh, cool. Like, this doesn't cost a ridiculous amount. Like, it's actually built for sellers, not just, massive e-com brands, which is its own thing. And it just allowed me to really take a large time-consuming thing that I for sure was getting wrong 80% of the time, and get it a little bit more accurate, a little bit more precise and consistent. This was so important for me. And so really excited to dive deep into this. A little bit of housekeeping as everybody's jumping in. We are doing like Q&A and stuff. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in real time. We'll make sure to circle back to these. But we're going to dive right in into the good stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw our screen up here, and we'll dive into some of the details.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks. So first of all, I just want to kind of talk about RestockPro and some of the key features. So the main thing that RestockPro does for Amazon sellers is provide that inventory forecasting, letting you know at a SKU level which products to reorder, how much quantity to reorder, and when to reorder. We also help you kind of stay on top of that SKU level profit margin calculation, just to make sure that you're investing in SKUs that are going to be profitable. Uh, we help you create and manage your purchase orders to your suppliers, help you create shipments to FBA, manage the status of those. If you're one that uh, creates your own stickers and applies those, we have a solution for that as well, and also kitting. So, really, kind of an end to end supply chain FBA inventory management tool. And really, kind of the big problem that we solve, we talk to a lot of sellers that say, um, you know, I've I've been doing this with a lot of different spreadsheets. I have Seller Central open. I have about 10 different tabs open, and I'm kind of going back and forth between my spreadsheets and Seller Central. And it's just kind of, my business has grown to the point where this is becoming unmanageable, is taking too much time. And Restock Pro is really kind of solving that problem and bringing all of that data together to you, and doing those calculations to help just make it kind of quick and easy to understand across your entire catalog when and how much to replenish. So I'll just kind of jump in and show you what the dashboard looks like. You can see that these tiles across the top give you just kind of a nice breakdown of all your active SKUs, uh, the total inventory value that you have across those SKUs, the value that we're telling you to reorder. Um, and then this reorder alerts of greater than 7 days is saying, hey, we told you to reorder, and it's going on 7 days now that you haven't done it. So this is one that you really want to pay attention to. Um, and then how much inventory that you have on order, how much is in your local warehouse that you need to ship to FBA, and how much that you have kind of tied up in FBA shipments. So a nice overview of kind of where your inventory is and what you need to take action on. So the next page we want to talk about is restock suggestions, and this is really kind of the most important and most valuable page, and it's basically showing you your entire catalog. It's bringing in all that different data that we're talking about, your sales data, all of your inventory quantities, your margin data, and kind of showing you across your entire catalog which you need to restock now, which you need to restock soon, which are out of stock, uh, and which are new. And if you're one that may not want to always be logging into a tool, we can push these insights out to you as well. So you can kind of set up either on a nightly or a weekly cadence. We can push these suggestions out to you so that if you're just kind of checking your email, you can get this information at a time that's convenient to you.
And Lewis, if we can pause right here for a moment, because I want to highlight a few things that I think are
Sure.
really important. One of the most amazing things when I used Restock Pro was being able to factor things like lead time, right? Especially doing wholesale. It's like, you know, yeah, I need it by this date and kind of here's my criteria and stuff, but there are these subtle nuanced variables that we need to factor in that you guys do incredibly well, because I can say, cool, like my general lead time for my prep center, because for me, I was always shipping directly to a prep center. I knew that for certain brands, it was going to take them, let's say, 5 days to actually process the order, get it out, but then it was going to take another 2 days on average in lead time for prep and ship. And so I'm able to factor all these things in. And this is so important because you're getting more precise in how you're managing the logistics and operations of the business. That's one thing that I think is just phenomenal, that gets undervalued quite a lot when sellers are thinking about how to set up their operations. How do I streamline things? It's typically a very simplistic approach, which is fine to begin with. But once you're starting to really get in here and design, here's how I do it, the more things you can factor in, the better and more precise you're going to be. But the thing that is number two that came up is like what you're showing right here, like this whole concept of push versus pull. So in software, for everybody who's not as tuned in, there's a big concept called push versus pull. Am I having to pull the information myself, so I have to go and find it, or is it being pushed to me? Push is really nice because it means that when you're really busy, and you all are, and you have so many things going on, instead of you having to remember, oh, I need to go and grab that information, I need to go and see what I need to restock. This is, you're creating this streamlined approach, which is pushing that information to you. And I'm a big fan of routines, creating these kind of consistent automations where you can say, great, once a week on Monday, that's when I do my restock. Great, awesome. Just have that information come to you, land in your inbox when you're ready to go, versus you having to go search for and amalgamate all the information. It's just ready for you to go. So I did want to highlight those two things because I think for me, those are two massive, massive things with using Restock Pro that I find really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you pointed that out. And you'll see that Restock Pro does require a little bit of time investment in the setup, but once you do that, up front, right when you sign up, that investment pays off because we'll just be able to
Yeah.
kind of push all these insights out to you once you've got everything like those supplier lead times all set up in the tool. All right, so just want to show a screenshot of the restock suggestions page, and you can see all of the large amount of granular data that we're pulling together into one screen for you. I'm not going to go through all of this line by line, but I do want to kind of hit a few of the high spots. Um, so these columns here are showing you your price and also kind of the competitive price. You can see for this particular SKU, there's two FBA offers, and the lowest FBA price is $19.95, and there's one non-FBA. So really a lot of dense competitive and pricing information packed in two columns. We also have a lot of good sales data. So velocity data from anywhere from 2 to 180-day time ranges. Same with past orders. So, across all of your SKUs, when you're scanning, you can see a really good picture of sales. Here's that estimated margin calculation that we were talking about. And this is where kind of the Aura integration comes in. So in order to calculate that estimated margin, we're taking cost of goods data that you're inputting in the tool, in addition to the FBA fees and all the other fees that kind of go into that margin calculation, uh, to help you when you're making that replenishment decision, to make sure that you're investing in inventory that's going to make a return for you. Uh, this column showing you the quantity on hand that you have, as well as the inbound quantity. And I also want to point out these two columns. These are new data points that we've added to Restock Pro: historical days of supply and minimum inventory level. And these are two critical metrics for the new low inventory level fee that I'm sure you all have heard about. There's been a lot of kind of talk and anxiety about this new low inventory level fee from Amazon. And so these columns are going to help you understand across your catalog which of my SKUs might incur this fee. So if you're familiar with it, Amazon's going to be charging that fee when your historical days of supply number goes below 28. And so you can see, for this one, it's at a 22.6. That means it will incur the fee. And they actually just recently provided an update and said, we won't charge the fee unless it's or for any SKUs that have under I think it's 20 units sold in the last 7 days. So you can see here, you can go to total orders and look at your amount sold in the last 7 days to make sure that it's going to qualify for that fee or not. So another good kind of data point, again, just with the theme of Restock Pro, of bringing all the important information that you need into one single screen. Finally, I'll point out that we show the reserve inventory quantity, just so you can understand, uh, you know, all of your different inventory in all of the different categories. And so from here, I just want to kind of jump into the live tool actually, because Restock Suggestions has so much data. I do want to cover an important piece of it. You can see here that these SKUs that are flagged red, we're saying that you need to restock those now. So I'll just kind of scroll over to the actual restock suggestions column. And so this column is showing you how much we're recommending that you ship into FBA from your local, and then also how much you need to reorder from your supplier into your local warehouse. And there's a lot of math and calculations that go into this, and we want to kind of expose that and be transparent about that calculation as well. So if you kind of pull this up, you can see exactly how we're getting to these suggested quantities. And you can see kind of what's going into the sales velocity calculation. And when you click on that, it'll give you a nice breakdown of the different metrics that we're factoring in for sales velocity, for the coverage required, which is looking at your supplier lead time and the target quantities that you've mentioned you want to keep on hand, and then finally the coverage available based on your current inventory. So, very powerful recommendations, very powerful calculations, but also a lot of transparency in helping you understand exactly how we're making these calculations so that you can kind of make your own judgments about how much you want to reorder at any given point. All right. And so once you've come to this page and you've decided you need to make a purchase order to your supplier, Restock Pro is going to help you do that. And so you can just take this PDF, download it, and send it directly to your supplier for the purchase order. We also facilitate creating FBA shipments. And so you can create that shipment plan file directly in Restock Pro. Similarly, you can create stickers and download labels or print them directly from our software based on the product information that we have uploaded. And then once you've created those purchase orders and created those shipments, Restock Pro is going to keep track of all of that and help you kind of check on the status of those shipments and see where your inventory is within the supply chain at any given point. So, really, a nice end to end solution for managing uh, every bit of your supply chain.
Nice. And for the record, when prior to using Restock Pro, I was using Trello, a Kanban system for basically tracking all my shipments and having to do this.
Uh,
Okay, I requested 500 units. They only sent me 480. Okay, I got to deal with that. Like it's a complete mess. So having all of this tied into one system is dramatically more streamlined and just makes quality of life really high.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, one thing I want to point out is how Restock Pro helps you manage your suppliers. We talk to a lot of sellers who are hesitant to use a lot of Amazon's inventory management features. They're hesitant to put in a lot of information about their suppliers in Seller Central for Amazon to get their hands on. And so the good thing about Restock Pro is obviously your supplier information is going to be safe with Restock Pro. We'll certainly never get over to the Amazon side of things. And so we make it easy for you to keep track of all your suppliers, all of their contact information, lead times. And then once you have that supplier information and lead time information, and you assign the products in Amazon to your suppliers, we can create powerful reports and show you things like, for example, this aging inventory analysis. We can show you your aging inventory by supplier to understand, kind of how your inventory is doing at the supplier level. All right, so I just want to talk quickly about how to get started and how to get set up with Restock Pro. The first thing when you log in is you'll want to connect to Amazon. We make that pretty simple to authorize that connection. And once you do that, we'll immediately start importing uh, back 180 days of your sales data, all of your active SKUs, all of your inventory information, and the statuses of all your existing shipments. The next thing you're going to want to do is customize your restock rules. And the first thing is just selecting the restock model. And there's two options there, direct or local. So if when you make an order to your supplier, if you have your supplier shipping directly to the FBA warehouse, you would select the direct model. But if your supplier ships your inventory and you keep it locally and then you ship from your local to into FBA, then you would simply choose the local model. Um, the next thing you would want to do is just put in your local lead time. You know how long it takes for inventory to get from your local warehouse into FBA. Uh, Choose how much target quantities you want on hand at any given point, and that's in number of days. And also choose how you want to calculate sales velocity. With all of these, we have kind of default recommendations. So it's, you don't have to get too overwhelmed with this, but we also provide a lot of flexibility. So, for example, with sales velocity, we recommend just using last 30 days, but you can choose anywhere from 730, 60, 90, and also choose a blend. You can say I want 30% the last 30 days and 70% the last 90 days. And we also provide flexibility on whether or not to factor in times that you were out of stock in those last 30 days, and also whether to count pending orders. The next thing you'll do is, as I mentioned, add that supplier information. Um, and then you're going to want to assign products to suppliers. And so we have a nice template where you just simply download uh, the Excel template, and you can include all of your supplier information for each of your products, and then upload that into Restock Pro. And this is where cost of goods comes in as well. So the template, in addition to assigning suppliers to products, allows you to enter that cost of goods data all in bulk. So you don't have to go line by line, product by product, entering cost of goods. Simply upload that, and then your cost of goods data will be automatically assigned to Restock Pro. And then once you've done all that, you simply receive those restock suggestions. Our tool will calculate, based on all of the information that you've entered, uh, what products you need to restock now, what are those quantities, and so on. And like Dylan mentioned, you can get that at a push as well, receiving that weekly or daily. So just kind of something that, once you put all of this information into the system, you can sort of sit back and know that, we are really keeping our eyes on your inventory from end to end. All right, and so I want to just talk about the integration that we have with Aura, and how this helps. As I mentioned, Restock Pro makes it easy to upload your cost of goods data, and it's certainly helpful when you're making that replenishment decision to always look at your profitability at the SKU level. Uh, and so if you're managing your inventory and your cost of goods within Restock Pro, and if you are using a repricer, then this integration is really a no-brainer. It's going to save you a ton of time. You don't have to do it in two different places, and it's just going to make sure that your repricer and your replenishment tool are kind of working off of the same margin calculations. So really a big benefit that we're excited about. Um, and then another great thing is just how easy it is to do. Within Restock Pro, you simply navigate to the settings page, there's a toggle switch. You turn that one on. And then on the Aura side, it's really just as easy. Just log in and turn that button on. I do want to stress that you have to turn the integration on within both tools. But once you do that, all of that cost of goods information from Restock Pro will be updated several times a day, really like every 30 minutes. Uh, that data will be available to Aura. So really a great benefit that we're excited about. Yeah, and anything that you wanted to mention there, Dylan, just on the integration and how to get that.
Yeah. Yeah, just a few like best practices, I think. First one is I would recommend users to enable the integration in Restock Pro prior to Aura. That way, their system's already sending before we attempt to receive. It tends to just kind of make things go a little bit faster from time to time. So just can rule of thumb there. And then I think your cost method is super important. Um, Not that we have any recommendations for which one you should use. It's kind of up to each individual seller. But I think it is worth you considering before just going with the default. I think the default's not going to do anything bad. Of course, it's reason why we have both here, the average and the last cost. But I think it is important for you to kind of take a step back and ask yourself, what really do I need to do here? Because some sellers, um, their cost is going to fluctuate quite rapidly. For others, it's not that big of a deal. So if your costs are jumping rapidly for whatever reason, you might want to consider doing something like a last cost. That way it can, or it can react basically to this volatility in your cost. Whereas if you have slight fluctuations, let's say within 20%, either which way, you might be okay to do the average. That way you're kind of smoothing things out. Some sellers might even have this crazy volatile, mixture with their costs, and they want to use the average. That's fine too. But I think it's worth, again, taking the time and kind of make that decision. So that's one thing. And then number two, kind of best practices. Lewis, as you're going through, I was kind of trying to remind myself of my workflow like a decade ago and using Restock Pro, and a lot's changed, which is awesome. But especially for things like quantity on hand, like some of these more, specific to the end user settings, what are some of the recommendations for best practices that you've seen work really well for some of those?
Yeah, so with Restock Pro, we have default settings there. So the good thing is that, once you pull it up and you go to the settings page, you'll see that. So as I mentioned, for velocity, we recommend last 30 days for sales velocity. We also recommend taking into account out of stock because those velocity numbers will kind of go out of whack if you were out of stock for a period of those times, and
Mhm.
also excluding pending orders from that calculation. Um, yeah, and also definitely recommend, in addition to kind of going into Restock Pro and making sure that your lead times are kind of up to date. Supplier lead times can certainly fluctuate sometimes, so just want to kind of have a cadence for that and stay on top of that. It's easy with some tools when you set it and forget it to um, kind of not go back to that sometimes. So definitely recommend doing that. But once you do that, you know, certainly set up those alerts, and you can add different users within the tool. So if there are certain folks that maybe they aren't responsible for the replenishment, but they need to stay on top of replenishment and stay on top of uh, what products might be going out of stock soon. You can add different users and make sure that everyone is kind of up to speed on the different statuses of your inventory.
Yeah, that makes sense. As accurate as you can get the data as possible, right? And I think a lot of sellers struggle with this. I know I did when I was a seller, where it does feel like a lot, that initial setup, but in reality, it's really not. And what you're doing is every every additional piece of data you're putting in, you're making it dramatically better in terms of what it can do for you, right? You say this a lot, and I'm gonna use the AI analogy because I'm known for for changing the conversation to AI. But when people jump into Chat GPT and they say, write me an essay on X, and it's not great, they go, oh, well, this is horrible. Actually, no, you didn't give it enough context, right? Not enough guardrails, not enough information or data. But when you change the prompt itself and give it all that information, all of a sudden you get a 100, if not a 1000x better end result. Same thing is true for your software in the Amazon space, right? The the system can only do as good as the data it is being given. And if you're not giving it any data, fun fact, it's not going to do much for you. So, if you jump in and don't connect your marketplace as an example, yeah, you're not going to get any response from the software. So yeah, I'm glad you highlighted that because it is so crucial to get these things dialed in. I remember, spending a lot of time each week in my Restock Pro account, not just doing, POs and restocking, but also just going through and saying what's changed, that I haven't reflected here. Have my lead times changed because I'm going into Q4? Well, maybe I need to know that. My prep center emails me and says, hey, our prep time is going to be increased by 50%. Well, I could go in and change that now for all my suppliers or my prep center, and I can react to that relatively fast. So as quickly as you can go from something has changed to it is being reflected in your Restock Pro account, I think the better the data you're going to get, the better the suggestions, and then therefore the better outcomes you're going to get. So definitely glad you highlighted that. Awesome. So I know there's a few questions in here. We have Adrian from the Restock Pro team jumping in, answering these questions as we're going. So I won't go through all of them just for time. Let's see. I'm going to pick out a few here. Let's see. In for context, Restock Pro, you're going to set your cost of goods in Restock Pro, and Aura is going to import those from there. So within the Aura system, you're going to choose, I'm going to use my average cost or my last cost. So you have two different cost methods. And if you change between those cost methods, let's say you default to average, but in 60 days you want to use last for whatever reason, you can hit that resync button that's shown on the screen here after changing that, and we'll actually historically backdate that. So we'll go ahead and update everything for you. That way it's exactly the way you want. Just for clarity, we're not syncing those back and forth. So if you do, let's say you have a cost of $20 in Aura and you set it at $0 in Restock Pro with the integration on, it's going to show as $0 in Aura when we sync next. So just keep that in mind. You're essentially going to use Restock Pro as your central source of truth for your cost. And then we're going to reflect that in Aura and then utilize that information to do things like set your mins, maxes, all that good stuff. Let's see. So there's a question about, can we use Restock Pro for RA versus OA? I know for me, I've really viewed Restock Pro for like wholesale, but I want to challenge that assumption. Who's like a really good fit for Restock Pro?
Yeah, you know, we do have some customers that are doing arbitrage, but given that one of the biggest value propositions of Restock Pro is helping you with replenishment, if you're finding some low cost units and then just kind of getting rid of those and then moving on to the next, certainly the restock suggestions features will not be as valuable to you. However, it is a pretty reasonable price point, and there's a lot of other important features that I think you'll still get benefits from, certainly with the margin calculations, and just kind of keeping overall, a being able to understand the level of your inventory and all those data points. It's still going to be valuable to RA and OA, but probably not within our sweet spot of
Yeah,
seller.
that makes sense. Because there's kind of this underlying assumption here, which is you can restock whatever is being suggested to you, right? So if we're saying, hey, like you need 50 units to restock and you can only go to the local Target and get one, is it really helping you? Not necessarily. So if you're heavy on like the replen kind of methodology with RA, maybe. But again, I think it really comes back to how much access to inventory quantity do you have that you can actually purchase? Because if you can't utilize the insights, the suggestions, then they kind of fall on deaf ears, so to speak. But even on bundling, I see a lot of people doing like faux private label, and basically like creating wholesale bundles that are unique to them. I think from that perspective, this becomes a really interesting use case as well. So definitely worth a highlight. So you can use it, but really think about like, what is the problem? What is the type of inventory you're purchasing? And does Restock Pro help facilitate that in a better way? Fundamentally, that's how you should view working with any software. Don't just get it because it seems cool. Get it because it actually solves your problem, or helps you do something new. Awesome. Well, I think, Adrian's been awesome in the comments. So I know a lot of these have already been answered. We've kind of answered some of these throughout the conversation anyways. So just for time, we'll start to wrap up unless anybody has any additional questions. But Lewis, anything else you would like to cover or share before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just want to talk about the offers from Restock Pro. So anyone who is not a Restock Pro customer, if you want to give us a try, we're offering a 21-day free trial. And in addition to that, we're going to offer 50% off for the first 6 months. So this is really
Nice.
uh, a good offer for anyone out there who wants to try Restock Pro and try this Aura integration. So just use that coupon code Aura VIP at sign up. And Dylan, I believe you guys also have an offer as well.
Yeah, so we're doing an extended trial. We kind of like doing this. So obviously we have the early stage program, which we're super excited about. So if you're doing less than 10 grand a month in revenue and you're not currently using Aura, you can apply for that and basically get access to all the advanced features, Maven, Hyperdrive, mobiles, everything. Will personally onboard you, all the good stuff. And it's 27 bucks a month for up to a year. So if you're, considering getting started with repricing, doing less than 10K, I feel like it's a no brainer. But not everybody is doing less than 10K. And so if you're looking for something else, our biggest thing is we don't really want to be salesy. I was in Savannah this past Friday and, hanging out with a few sellers, and somebody was like, "Oh, sell me on Aura." It's like, I can't do that. And like, I would rather just say, use the free trial. Don't even give me a payment method. And you tell me, right? Like, let the performance speak for itself. So for a lot of sellers migrating or changing their software, there's a lot of perceived friction of how easy is it going to be to get migrated, to get up and running, um, how can I get the most out of the trial to really know if it's right for me? And so for us, we like to say, well, if it feels too tight, let us know and we'll just extend it for you. We want you to feel like it was the right decision, have the data to back that up. So from our end, we're offering basically an additional month with the extended trial there. So normally it's just 14 days, but we're extending that even further. So what tends to happen is you jump in, don't give us a credit card, and you make more than what you would pay us, and you're pretty happy and want to pay us. So that's how we've designed it here. Awesome. Well, Lewis, we appreciate you making the time. This integration is something that I know both teams have been working on past few weeks. We were excited to get this finally launched. We're seeing some amazing results with this so far. A lot of people starting to integrate and add this, and it's a free integration. This is what's awesome. Like if you're already using both tools, you just saved a ton of time and you don't have to deal with it. You click 2 toggles and you're done. But yeah, we appreciate everything that the Restock Pro team has done. Appreciate you making the time to come on and chat and kind of walk us through how to utilize Restock Pro in a way that really streamlines things in a way that I kind of miss being a seller because I miss doing some of this stuff. So appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We're super excited about this integration and this partnership, and I really appreciate you inviting me to talk to your users today.
Yeah, we like to geek out. So whenever somebody else wants to geek out, we're always excited to host. So with that, we appreciate everybody making the time to come join us. If you have any additional questions, of course, you can reach out to our support team. You can reach out to the Restock support team. We definitely have tons of support documentation as well. So not just here's how to enable it, but some best practices and things like that. So definitely take advantage of that. Again, the discount that Restock Pro is offering is phenomenal. We were not expecting this when we started the integration process. So make sure you're using that coupon code. It's all caps Aura-VIP. Love that, by the way, because our users are VIPs. That's great. 50% off 6 months is ridiculous. So if you are looking at this kind of software solution, I would highly recommend, speaking from personal experience, using RestockPro. So with that, we'll let everybody get back to the rest of your day. We do have office hours starting at 2 p.m. EST, so happening in the next 20-ish minutes. So we'll be live for office hours. We can definitely go deeper into this too, if anybody wants to. But with that, we'll let everybody get back to the rest of your day. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.